1928 BP I-Series 200 peso banknote, 1060 print run graded 20 and 25.
Hello everyone, just showing you some of the rarer BPI banknotes. This is the 200p 1928. Two examples here. One is a little bit lower quality and has a little rip on the top edge. The other one is a very nice example and it's a little bit higher grade. These notes were printed in 1928 and there's only 1060 print run, so they are very rare and the survival rate is very low. So the number of these notes that actually survived is a lot less than 1060. These two notes I actually purchased from Kitcheru, who sells on consignment for one of his clients. He's a nice guy to deal with. Prices are expensive, but you get what you get. We negotiated on these two notes because I like BPI, particularly the lower note. To me, it stood out because of condition, but also because of the serial number. The serial number D454D, it's a radar number, but I'm also a car enthusiast, an automotive enthusiast. And everyone that knows Chevrolet will know that the 454 big block is a very iconic engine, particularly in the Corvette Stingray, in the a lot of the Chevrolet Impalas and whatnot. It is a very important history engine in the history of automotive for Chevrolet. Most people in America would already know what a 454 is. So to me, when I seen that note and the serial number 454, I automatically thought of the engine 454. And knowing that this is a radar note, knowing that it is American Philippine note, knowing that it is a very rare note, yeah, I had to buy it. I had to have it. The serial number to me adds a lot of value to this note. So it's interesting that people like me put a lot of value to serial numbers. It's a bit like I have a lot of solid serial numbers in my collection. I have radar numbers in my collection, even down to the couple of the 100,000 peso banknotes. Like I have radar numbers in that as well, like 0330. It adds value to your note rather than having a common number. So low serial numbers are worth more, but obviously this particular note only had 1060, so all the serial numbers will be low. But to find one that actually has meaning, and has meaning in a couple of different areas of interest, particularly me being a guy, me being an automotive enthusiast as well as a numismatic enthusiast, yeah, that 454 note, it stood out to me. And personally, I think it's a little bit undergraded, but I'm happy with the grade. So 25 is good. It could have got 30, but it didn't, and I have to be happy with that. The reason it didn't go higher can be because of a little bit of staining on the top edge, which you can see there. But if you look at all the corners of the note, they are very square. It's very full. There's no missing bits, there's no rips, there's no holes, there's no pinholing. because that stain at the top is usually caused by a paper clip that has rusted over time, because they normally paper clip these notes to other documents, and a lot of these notes will have paper clip rust marks on them. This particular note, like, it's nearly 100 years old, so and it's very hard to find in this condition. These notes in any condition are rare. Like I said, there was only 1,060 ever printed, but my guesstimate, there would probably be a third left on the market, if that. We'll turn it over. The other little bit of eyesore is the couple of telemarks. Like, this money was demonetarized a long time ago, and tellers tended to put marks. There is a 1 over here, and then there is a 4 over here in red. That stain from the front is also coming through the back because it was a paper clip. But you can see the color, you can see the orange color, you can see the background. You can see that the note has relatively even border all the way around. It's a little bit lower, but it's not screwed or anything. It's an extremely nice example of a note that is centered well from side to side, from top to bottom, but it's a little bit on the bottom side. But that is also rare to find in one of these old banknotes, is that the image itself is not screwed to the paper. We'll go back to the front. Like, the comments at the top are minor rust and ink. So the minor rust is that little bit on the top where the paper clip was, and the ink is the 2 telemarks, like the 1 here and the 4 over here. And that's usually done when they demonetarized. I'll turn it back. So, looking at the note again, it's 1928 note. It's D454D, and it's one note of 1,060 in the print run. But we look at the image from side to side, the border is exactly the same from side to side. This image on the front is a little bit screwed from bottom on the left to top on the right, only slightly, but the image itself is not central top to bottom. It's a little bit more bottom orientated, where there isn't a lot of margin on the bottom, there's more margin on the top. So the image on the back is a lot more centralized than the image on the front. But overall, this note could have went higher than 25. Me personally, I would have made it 30. Because it is a rarity, because the image front to back is centralized, and it is from left to right, but the image on the front is a little bit lower orientated. The back image is almost perfect. Extremely nice note. The top image, and this is what I tell my wife, you should always end with the best, but this way we're going to end with one. Even though this has a rip in it, the image is extremely bright. The ink really stands out. If you look at the borders, it is extremely clear. It's an extremely clear border. You look at the image of the BPI lady, extremely clear. I've seen a lot of these notes where the fold has worn out the ink. The folds are very minimal compared to the grade, right? The reason this received 20 is predominantly because of the missing little piece at the top. But this also has the paper clip mark, and that's why it had the piece missing, is that I assume when they pull the paper clip off that they rip the little piece out of this, because you can see a little bit of rust there from the paper clip as well. But the reality is it would be almost impossible to find a 200p banknote without the signs of a paperclip ever being there. But finding banknotes that don't have extremely harsh folds where the ink is like a white line, again, is extremely rare. So I'm very happy with both of these notes, that the image is very black, very clear. The lady has a lot of clarity. The borders around the outside has a lot of clarity. The notes haven't been washed, so the black is black. It's very clear. The blue on the seal is very clear, very bright. So these are the things you need to look for in a banknote: is clarity of image, front to center alignment, also front image side to side alignment, top to bottom alignment, whether the image is screwed to the paper or not. Same on the back, and then if they really match up, you will get a higher grade. But predominantly these notes, there aren't any with a really high grade because they are very limited in numbers. A lot of the notes of this era were actually burnt when they were demonetized. So for me to actually have two, I'm definitely very blessed, and I have to thank Kitcheru for selling me both. So he has a lot of good products, and I would suggest that you look at his site regularly. His prices may be expensive, but the reality is there will always be a collector willing to pay the price. So you need to, make everyone happy. You have to be happy with the price. His person that's consigning has to be happy with the price. Then he has to be happy with the commission that he makes. So please recognize that this is an industry where rarities will set their own price. The reality is these will never sell for less than what I paid for them. The price will only ever increase. So when you're buying rarities, they are a great investment, because every time a rarity is sold, the price will have to go up. The price will not come down. So be prepared to pay decent money for these notes, because the price will never come down. Collectors who can afford these notes will not lose on these notes. But the reality is these notes will be in my collection for a long, long time. And like Kitcheru, I make comments with Kitcheru, is that sometimes he will put a not for sale price on things. But the reality is the reason he does that is because the items are rare. And you have to make profit on items where they are rare, because it's very hard to make a profit on an item that is not rare. You have to compete against too many others. So that is why we invest in rarities. That is why we get passionate about rarities. But when you're collecting, you pick a series that you like, that you can afford, and you always try and buy the best quality in that series that you like, that you can afford. The thing is, buy the highest quality of what you like, then it will appreciate more. Notes at the higher level will increase in value exponentially more than notes at a lower level. And I hope you all learnt a little bit about the 1928 200p. Like, I'm passionate about numismatics. I like my BPI notes. I like a lot of different notes because you're sharing history as well as numismatic value. There's a lot of history in these notes. So the Philippines has a lot of history with Spain, with America. So it's a case of sharing history, collecting history, saving history for future generations. So eventually my son will most likely end up with these unless I become passionate about something else that I really like, and my budget means that I might have to sell one of these. But if that day comes, that day comes. The reality is my collection will only grow in beauty, in history. If I sell one item, I will be replacing it by an item that gives me more passion. Anyway, I'd like to thank Kitcheru again for selling me these two notes. He is sometimes could be hard to deal with, but the reality is in the end we think the same. So, and in the end everyone is happy. So to me, no matter who has these notes, you will have to pay for them unless they how you say, are not passionate about their own product. Okay, thank you very much. You have a good day. Please follow, and we will show you more. Okay, bye.